Have you ever kept a secret so big it could ruin everything? Welcome to Unheard, where people share the secrets they can't tell anyone else. This is where you get stuff off your chest. The things that weigh you down, that keep you up at night. Every story comes from emails you send us, shared in total confidence. If you've got a confession eating at you, send it to unheardchannel@gmail.com, and it could be the next one we tell. Tonight's email is heavy. It's the kind of story that grabs you and doesn't let go. So stick with me. This one's intense.
This all started when I was 18, when my mom got remarried. Her new husband was solid, kind, totally different from my dad. But he had a son, my stepbrother, a year older than me. He was quiet, kept to himself, but had these eyes that they got to me. The first time we met, I felt something weird, like a little jolt. I brushed it off. He was my stepbrother. We were just family, right? They bought a house and we ended up living together. At first, we barely talked. He'd be in his room, messing with his guitar, and I'd stay in mine, scrolling on my phone, drawing stuff. But after a while, we started hanging out more, grabbing snacks late at night, arguing over what to watch. He'd give me grief about my music, and I'd make fun of him for collecting old records like some wannabe DJ. It was easy, comfortable, but underneath, there was this vibe. I'd catch myself noticing him too much. How he laughed, how he moved. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just me being dumb. But honestly, I knew it was something more. Things got real messy after one night, about 6 months in. We were watching a scary movie. Just us, parents gone, house dark. During a jump scare, I grabbed his arm without thinking. He laughed, but his hand stayed on mine, his fingers warm, lingering way too long. My heart was pounding, and it wasn't the movie. That moment hit me hard. I knew this was trouble, something I shouldn't be feeling, something that could wreck everything. After that, I couldn't get it out of my head. Every time he looked at me, or our hands brushed passing a plate in the kitchen, it was like a spark I couldn't put out. I kept telling myself it was wrong, that he was basically family, but the harder I tried to push it down, the stronger it got. I'd catch him looking at me sometimes, holding eye contact just a second too long, and my stomach would flip. Was he feeling it too? Or was I going crazy? I'd lie awake at night, replaying every little moment. His half smile, the way he'd lean closer when we talked. I hated myself for wanting him so bad, but it was like my heart wasn't listening. I was stuck, torn between guilt and this pull I couldn't shake. We started making excuses to be around each other. He'd ask me to read his college essays, even though he didn't need my help. I'd hang out in his room, acting like I cared about his band, just to be close to him, to feel that rush when he'd look at me. One night, he played a song he wrote on his guitar, and the words, about wanting something you can't have, cut right through me. It felt like he was saying what I was too scared to admit. I wanted to ask, is this about us? But my throat locked up, and I just sat there, heart racing, pretending to listen to the chords. The tension was unbearable, like a knot tightening in my chest. There were moments where it felt like we were right on the edge. A late-night chat where we sat so close our knees touched, his warmth making my skin tingle. A hug after a fight with my mom where we held on too long, his breath hot against my ear, my hands shaking as I let go. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. Not my friends, not my mom. It was tearing me apart inside. I started pulling away from everyone, messing up at school, getting mad over nothing. He noticed. One day he stopped me in the kitchen, his voice soft, asking what was going on. It hurt to hear him care like that. I wanted to scream, "It's you!" But I just said I was stressed and walked off quick. I could feel him watching me as I left, and it was like a weight crushing me. Then we crossed the line. It was a year after we met, during a summer storm. Our parents were gone for the weekend. We were alone, sitting on the couch, watching rain slam against the windows. A blanket draped over us. The power went out, leaving us in the dark with just a flickering candle casting shadows on the walls. Thunder was booming, and the air felt thick, like it was pushing us closer. We were talking, joking about dumb stuff. Then it went quiet. His hand found mine under the blanket, on purpose, his fingers tracing over my knuckles, sending a shiver up my spine. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought he'd hear it. I looked at him, his face half lit by the candle, eyes locked on mine, and I saw it, everything I was feeling. Want, fear, this desperate need. We didn't say a word. The storm was roaring outside, but in that moment, it was like the world held its breath. He leaned in, slow, like he was giving me a chance to stop it. His breath warm, his eyes searching mine. I could have pulled back, but every part of me wanted this. I leaned in too, and we kissed. Soft at first, like we were testing the line. Then desperate, like we'd been starving for it. His hand slid into my hair, pulling me closer. Mine gripped his shirt, my fingers digging in like I was afraid he'd disappear. It was overwhelming, like every rule we'd ever known was burning away, leaving just us, wrapped in this forbidden moment that felt so right and so wrong. We stopped, out of breath, staring at each other, hearts racing, knowing we'd just broken everything. We said it was a mistake, that it wouldn't happen again. But we were lying to ourselves. For months we couldn't stop. We'd steal moments whenever we could. Late nights in his room when the house was asleep, quick kisses in the garage behind stacks of boxes, our hands trembling as we pulled each other close. Each time we'd swear it was the last, that we'd keep it secret. But it was like we were hooked, chasing that rush despite the guilt clawing at us. We got reckless. Once our parents came home early, and we barely made it out of his room before they walked in. I hid in my closet, heart pounding, hearing their voices through the wall, thinking they'd open my door any second. Another time, at a family barbecue, he brushed my hand under the table, his fingers lingering, and my best friend saw us talking too close by the grill later. She asked if something was going on, her eyes narrowing. I laughed it off, my pulse hammering, but I was terrified she'd piece it together. Every day I lived in fear of getting caught, but that fear made it more intense, like we were daring the world to find out. Then it all came crashing down. I missed my period. I was a wreck, my hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the car keys as I drove to a drugstore 2 towns over to buy a pregnancy test. I hid it in my jacket, sneaking it into the house like I was carrying a grenade. At 2 a.m., I locked myself in the bathroom, the house dead quiet except for my ragged breathing. I stared at that stick, my stomach twisting, my palms sweaty, my mind racing with images of our parents finding out, their faces twisted in shock and disgust, the way they'd look at us like we were monsters. I pictured telling him, watching his eyes go dark, knowing we'd destroyed everything. Every second waiting felt like a lifetime, my heart hammering so hard I thought I'd throw up. I kept whispering to myself, "Please, no, please," like I could will it away. When the test came back negative, I slid to the floor, sobbing. Not from relief, but from the weight of what we'd done. That scare hit me like a truck. It showed me how close we were to losing everything, how this thing we'd started was a bomb waiting to go off. I told him we had to stop. We met in his car, parked in an empty lot at night, rain drumming on the roof. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, his eyes red, his hands gripping the steering wheel, like it was the only thing keeping him steady. I told him about the scare, my voice shaking, and he just stared out the windshield, jaw tight. He nodded, said we couldn't keep doing this. We made a pact. No one can ever know, not our parents, not a soul. We'd bury it and move on. I thought that was the end. He left for college a month later, and I tried to pull myself together. Years passed. I got married to someone good, someone who didn't make my life a mess. He got married too. I thought we were done, that time and new lives would kill it. But I was so wrong. We saw each other again at a family holiday dinner years later. Everyone was crowded around the table, laughing, passing dishes. But when our eyes met, it was like a jolt of electricity. I could barely eat, my hands shaking under the table, his foot brushing mine by accident. Or maybe not. Later that night, after everyone was asleep, we ended up alone in the garage, pretending to look for some old Christmas lights. We'd had a few drinks, and the air felt heavy, like it was pulling us together. He stepped closer, his voice low, saying we shouldn't be doing this. But then he reached for my hand, his touch sending a shock through me, and I didn't pull away. We kissed, hard and desperate, like we were picking up right where we left off. His hands cupped my face, my fingers clutched his jacket, and for those few seconds, it was like nothing else existed. Just us, drowning in this thing we couldn't stop. We started seeing each other again. Hotels far from home, secret texts at 3 a.m., weekends away when we could lie about work trips or visiting friends. We're both married now, with lives we're supposed to love. But this thing between us is like a fire that won't go out. We're careful. Burner phones, fake email accounts, meeting in dive motels or empty parking lots. But it's unraveling. Last month, his wife almost saw a text on his phone. He said it was a coworker, but I heard the panic in his voice when he called me later, whispering like he was afraid she'd hear. My husband's been asking why I'm so distant, why I'm always working late or leaving my phone face down. I lie, but I can tell he's starting to wonder. 2 weeks ago, we had a scare at a hotel. A family friend was in the lobby, laughing with someone as we checked in. I saw them first, my heart stopping, and I grabbed his arm, pulling him into a side hallway. We stood there, pressed against the wall, my pulse racing, his breath shaky, waiting until they left. We split up, left separately, didn't talk for days, but it didn't stop us. Then there's the letter. I wrote it one night after a fight with my husband, sitting alone in our guest room, tears streaming down. I poured it all out, the affair, the scare, how we're still doing this, how it's tearing me apart. I stuffed it in my bag, planning to burn it, but during a family trip to a cabin last month, he found it. Everyone else was asleep, and he was digging in my bag for his car keys. I walked in and saw him holding it. His face white, hands shaking, the paper crinkling in his grip. "What is this?" he whispered, his voice breaking, eyes wide with fear. I froze, my stomach dropping like I was falling off a cliff. I begged him to keep quiet, said it was just me venting, not real, my words tripping over each other as I tried to cover it up. He knew I was lying. He was mad, scared, said we're gonna get caught, that we're ruining our lives. I was crying, promising we'd stop, but even as I said it, I knew I didn't mean it. That was a month ago, and we're still doing this. Still lying to everyone, still swearing each time is the last. Now, we're both married, living double lives. Every time we're together, I'm betraying my husband, his wife, our whole family. Family dinners are the worst, sitting there, acting normal when the secret is eating me alive. I see him with his wife laughing, and it's like a knife in my chest. Does he love her? Is he stuck like me? I don't know if this is love or something darker, but it's got me trapped. I'm terrified every day that we'll slip up, a text left open, a look that lasts too long. I've tried to end it, to be the wife I'm supposed to be, but I keep going back to him. Or he comes back to me. This secret is my cage, and I don't know how to get out. I sent this email to Unheard to let some of it out, to feel a little less alone. But it's not enough. I'm still drowning in it. I think about it all the time. Could I have stopped it? That first kiss, the affair, this mess I'm in now? Some secrets just take over, and you can't get free. I look at my husband, and I hate myself for what I'm doing. I see my stepbrother with his family, and I wonder if he's hurting too. Have you ever been stuck in something you know is wrong? Or held on to a secret that runs your life? Sending this to Unheard is the only way I can say it out loud, but it doesn't fix anything. I'm still living this lie, and I don't know how it's gonna end. Thanks for listening to this confession.
If it hit you hard, Hit that like button and subscribe to Unheard for more stories from the shadows. Drop a comment. Have you ever kept a secret this big? Or just tell us what you think. We read every single one. If you have a confession weighing on your chest, send your confession to unheardchannel@gmail.com. Your story could be next. Want another secret to dive into? Check out the video on screen. Until next time, stay unheard.